Hope everyone is having a great Saturday. I am really enjoying the Saturday live broadcast. For years and years and years, when I was in network marketing, I just worked in a system where I worked a full Saturday every single Saturday for over 20 years. So when I stopped doing that actively, Saturdays became that was my day. No matter what I did, I was going to work, unless I was in a live event. And now I've overswung the pendulum so much again, to get up and do a couple hours worth of work on Saturday is a lot of fun. So today we're going to talk about public speaking. I want to dive right into this. If you're watching live, please put an L. If you're watching on replay, put an R. And I think you're really going to want to share this information. We did a YouTube video a couple of years ago on public speaking. You can definitely go to my YouTube page. Everything for me, no matter what social media, is MARC ACCETTA Seminars. And when you go there, the video, got a significant amount of views. It was really good information. So first of all, I never planned on being a public speaker. I don't know how many of you travel overseas, but when you enter most countries, you have to fill out a card for entry. And it always says your career. And for many years now, I've been writing down public speaker, which is interesting because I'm also a network marketer. I'm also a success coach. Whatever. I have a lot of different titles. I'm a CEO of the company I own. However, I guess in my heart, I'm a public speaker, and I never planned on doing it. They say the number one fear in the world is the fear of public speaking. I don't know how many of you can relate to that, but I think a lot of people can. And I found out to be true when I got to college. Somehow, some way, I went through the majority of high school, and if I had to do public speaking, I either blocked it out. But I don't think I had to do public speaking in high school. But in college, I had to take a public speaking course to graduate. And I remember I was terrified. Now, this is many, many years ago, and a little embarrassed by this, but the truth is I went back to my roommate, who was one of the smartest people on the entire campus, and I had no money. I mean, I was broke then, but I probably had about $100 spending money for a semester, and I took the $82 I had left, and I offered it to my roommate to make believe he was me and go do these 3 speeches. I had to do a talk of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes. And I was so terrified, literally almost threw up with the idea of making a 10-minute talk, that I went back and begged my roommate. Thank goodness, of course, he didn't do it, and I ended up taking the class. And I ended up getting a C. And I only got a C in that course because Professor Peluso was one of the most kind-hearted people in the world. I'm telling you, I was terrible, but more importantly, I was terrified. So the bottom line is, you can indeed learn how to be a really good public speaker. So if you want to be a speaker, the first thing I gotta tell you is you're gonna have to do a lot of talks. Okay, that's the bottom line. I know a lot of people, they'll go to things like Toastmasters and they'll learn how to speak. And some of the stuff they teach I agree with, some I really don't agree with. But the point is, learning it means nothing. You got to go out and do it. Now, here's the problem with speaking. In the beginning, when you're not very good, a lot of people probably aren't going to want to pay you for giving a speech. So you better get committed to doing free speeches. I mean, a lot of free speeches. I have a good friend named Ed who was had the blessing of having his dad be good friends with a guy named Les Brown. Sure, most of you know Les Brown's one of the best public speakers in the world. And when my friend Ed was becoming a public speaker, I believe Les told me, you better be ready to give at least 100 free speeches. You got to go give value. You got to show somebody what's going to make you different. So again, this is a short time we have together. So let me talk about some of the things that are going to make you different. First and foremost, okay, I was blessed to have a mentor. I never took a speech course. I never had any training on public speaking. But I did have, in my mind, the greatest public speaker I've ever seen in my entire life as a mentor. And I got to see him do live events for 10 years straight. So I got to really absorb a lot, consciously and unconsciously. The one thing I didn't do, though, is I didn't become a carbon copy of him. I didn't mimic him exactly. So that's my first point. You gotta be yourself. You gotta be authentic. I know a lot of people go and they find a great speaker who they really resonate with, and then they really come off doing their talks almost as if they're them. The exact same speech patterns, the same phrases. A lot of times they even use the same stories. Some people literally copy someone else word for word. Guys, don't do that. Oh my gosh, that's the most... Don't do that. You're better than that. You can do this. You don't need to copy somebody else. Do your own original work. Now, again, in order to make sure you're not copying one person, watch several. Okay, you've got me to watch. Go to YouTube. You've got Tony Robbins. You've got some of the greatest speakers in the world. Go back and watch Zig Ziglar, one of my idols from back in the way, one of the most remarkable public speakers. There is a wide array. Gary Vee, Simon Sinek, there's so many. Go watch some people that you resonate with, but watch more than one, because the thing here is you want to develop your own style and you want to be authentic. Now, again, just getting right to the bottom line. If you want to be a good speaker, forget about great for a minute. If you want to be a good speaker, number one, you better be engaging. You better be interesting. Big question, would you listen to you? As a matter of fact, pause. You need to listen to you, literally. If you want to be a great speaker, a good speaker, an adequate speaker, you need to tape yourself and then listen to it objectively. Don't listen to it so you can go, wow, man, I really am amazing. Woo, check that out. Listen to it so you can see what you're capable of improving and doing better. When I did start doing professional speaking, the first professional speaking I did was when I was a door-to-door cookware salesman. And we started a summer recruiting program, very similar if you've ever been in Cutco or Vector Marketing. And we had to do this 30-minute presentation every day to a bunch of college kids who were looking for summer jobs. So one day he just said, hey, you need to do the presentation. I was like, what? And I just went up and I did it. I guess I did adequately. So I started doing it more and more and more. But I was terrified to do that presentation. I didn't know what I was doing. I just got up there and said some general basic things. I'll tell you one thing though, I was definitely myself. I was definitely authentic. And what I started doing unconsciously, at the time I didn't know it, but now I look back at it and it just kind of came out of me because I didn't have training, was I started telling stories. So that's a big thing here. You've got to be interesting. You've got to take yourself. So when I started doing those meetings, they made me listen to myself. And the thing I used to say, oh my gosh, I was the worst. I would go, I must have said without a joke 100 times during a 30-minute speech. Now imagine if you had to watch that. Like, wow, that would be rough to watch. So anything that you have like that needs to go, you should be able to get rid of it yourself by taping yourself, preferably video, but at least audio, so you can listen to what you're saying. So I got rid of the I got rid of it because it sounded terrible to me, and I didn't want to sound that ridiculous. And then I went out and, as I said, I started telling some stories. You've got to be interesting. You cannot be monotone. Now again, how do you know if you're monotone? What do you mean, how do you know? You tape yourself. And again, read the audience. If you're talking and the people you're talking to are falling asleep, you're either boring with your subject matter or you are really, really monotone. So your voice is incredibly, incredibly important. With your voice, and again, it's so hard to do this in 20 minutes, my gosh. You know, I will tell you this, when we're done today, I have a brand new course on public speaking. And as I'm just sitting here doing the live, I'm telling you, if you want to be a really excellent public speaker, you're going to have to invest some money in it. I didn't have a course. I got to stop and do that. I didn't have a course. I had a great mentor, and every time I went to see him, most of the seminars were $300 a person plus travel. Then the big ones were either $500 or up to $2,500 per person. So over 10 years, how much money did I spend going and going and going and going and going? I used to do a public speaking course and cost $3,000. $3,000, way less than the amount of money I spent going to see him again and 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 again. And at least with the $3,000, it's specifically guided to speaking. I just pick things up because I was interested in picking them up. So I've always felt great about teaching this public speaking course for $3,000, but we'll get back to that later. So the bottom line is you have to be engaging. You can't be monotone. You've got to tape yourself. Now, there's a simple expression. If you're new at this, just get this part. Facts tell, stories sell. Every great speaker I've ever seen just does a wonderful job of telling stories. And it's very similar to Jesus in the Bible. Talk in parables so that you can teach the people you're teaching through your stories. One of the most popular, I guess one of the most viewed speeches of all time is Stephen Jobs giving a commencement speech at Stanford. And it's a 15-minute talk. And when he starts the talk, he says, all I'm going to do today is tell you 3 stories from my life. That's all. And he goes ahead and he tells the first story about when he was adopted as a child, and his parents, his birth parents, said he has to go to college if you're going to adopt him. He went to college. He didn't want to be there. The family couldn't afford it, so he dropped out. But the courses he took ended up giving him what he needed to be able to really make the Mac different than other computers. So he talks about the concept of connecting the dots. Everything happens for a reason, blah, blah, blah. That's the first story, but it makes a very strong point. Second story is about Apple and how he got fired from his job and all that kind of good stuff. And I mean, wow, you want to talk, there's so many teaching points. I'm not going to go through the whole thing of Stephen Jobs. Go watch it. It's 15 minutes. But if you want to be a great speaker or a good speaker, watch that speech again and again and again. It's 3 simple stories, but here's the thing. Imagine if you can, as you're watching that simple 15-minute talk that has so much meat and so many great teaching points and so many great quotable lines, as you're watching it, ask yourself, how much preparation did Stephen Jobs put into that talk? And I assure you, it's obvious it was a tremendous hours upon hours upon hours. I mentioned Zig Ziglar earlier, one of my absolute heroes, Zig Ziglar, and he said for every 1 hour he was on stage, he spent 9 hours in preparation. You know, I've seen people who are speakers, professionals, and they literally will go right before they're about to go on stage and go, not really sure what I'm going to talk about today, but, you know, I'll figure it out while I'm up there. And somehow, I think they think that makes them look cool. But to me, it makes them look as unprofessional as you could possibly be. Could you imagine you go to Broadway and the actor right before he goes on stage goes, well, you know, I'm not really sure if I know my lines, but I'm going to give it a crack. I mean, think of the great athletes. I think of in football, that playing the position of quarterback, you have got to be uber prepared. People don't realize how cerebral football is as a sport. If Tom Brady wasn't as prepared as he was, he would never have gotten the results he's gotten. So preparation is key. Here's the other thing. You got to know, forget about your preparation for this particular talk. You need to know your subject matter. Let's not go any further. If you want to know how to use your voice the right way, vocal inflection, how to motivate a crowd, how to get a crowd to be emotional, forget all that stuff. You need to know your subject matter upside down and backwards. Ultimately, you're going to be a speaker because people are going to pay money to come and see you because you're going to teach them something of value. Now, I know for some of you just want to be a personal development teacher, so I'm going to say one very valuable thing. I know somebody, this is going to hit you right between the eyes, and it's going to impact you, and you'll be able to, even though you're not going to like what I'm saying right now, you'll listen to it, you'll hear it, and then you're going to take action on it. So someday, you can become a very effective, very, very successful public speaker. Here's bottom line. Personal development. I know what happens. You go to personal development, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to teach this to people. People should know this, right? Like, for those of us who are personal development junkies, how is this not in schools? How does everyone on earth not need to take these courses as mandatory? I mean, math is awesome. I'm glad I know math. But with a calculator, I could have taken not one math class and I'd be fine. How do you not understand personality profile? How do you not understand some of the basics? But the bottom line is, a lot of people, you get this, it's incredibly uncommon. So when you get it, people go, okay, I want to do that. I want to be a public speaker. I want to teach personal development. So how many people do you think say, they wake up and go, today I think I need some personal development? First of all, the people who need it the most don't even think they need it. Secondly, most people don't even know what it is. So for me, and I bet this is true of almost every one of you, anyone who's in network marketing, I know this is true of you. You went to a seminar on how to make money. I went to a seminar many, many years ago, over 30 years ago, because my mentor was making way more money in a month than I was making in a year. So I wanted to learn, how does he do that? And when I went there, he taught me how to invite, how to present, how to close, how to train, how to promote, how to do all the how-tos. But in between, there was an enormous amount of personal development. And I would have never imagined that that was going to be there. I didn't know. So coming out of it, of course, the personal development is what sticks the most because it's the most rare. It's like you're discovering things you've never heard before. So now you want to go teach personal development, but here's the bottom line. Why should someone come and listen to you? Even if you have studied personal development, you are phenomenal. Let me tell you something. If you ain't Tony Robbins, you're going to have a really hard time having anyone show up for a personal development seminar. And think of how many years and how many tiny crowds and how many public appearances Tony Robbins made with no money or virtually no money to build up his following and all that kind of good stuff. So if you think you're going to do big seminars for personal development just because you can teach personal development, I think you may be on some serious mind-altering drugs. So go get great at something. Probably something about making money. So network marketing, whatever it might be, online marketing, whatever you decide to be great at, selling, how to start a business, how to sell businesses, real estate, stocks, whatever. Become great at something, and then people will pay money to come and see you teach them how to make the money. And at that seminar, you can work in a personal development. Because they do need it, they just don't know that they need it. But here's the point. If you just teach that stuff, you're never going to be, or it's unlikely you're going to be successful. Because people need both. Okay, so again, this is what I share with people. It's like, imagine you're about to get operated on, and the doctor has not gone to medical school. But he did go to a motivational seminar, and he is extremely fired up to operate. He just doesn't know how to do it. How many of you would be really nervous about that operation? Obviously. Now, on the other hand, if you have someone who's been through school, they know every little detail, but they're an incredibly unmotivated, undriven person, yeah, they can do that one operation, but the odds of them becoming remarkably successful are slim. So you need both. What's more important, oxygen or food? Both. So the people you're going to be teaching definitely need the how-to information, and they need the personal development. But you got to get great at the how-to information. You just have to do it, guys. One of the things I'll tell you about me is I know for the rest of my life I'll be able to make a bunch of money because I know this business upside down and backwards. Now, if my car breaks down and I have to go under the hood and figure out what's wrong with my car, I have virtually 0.0 chance of figuring that out. My mentor told me 1,000 times ago, his dad told him you have to be a jack of all trades. You have to be good in a bunch of different things. So for him, his dad would have told him you have to know enough about a car. If your car breaks down, you can fix it. Then his college roommate, he said, my dad's philosophy is totally different. He said, find one thing and be the best in the world at doing it. See, I don't know if Michael Phelps knows how to fix a car, but I know he knows how to swim. The bottom line is, if you want to be great at this, then you got to put the time and energy into it. And here's the other thing. You want to be a speaker? Go do what you're going to teach people how to do. It's another thing that drives me crazy is people want to be a speaker trainer and they don't know how to do it themselves. You will never get the respect from an audience that you want to have. They will know. Anyone who's in the field doing the deal is going to know if you're a fraud or if you've really done this thing. If you've really built a team, because guys, there are just experiences you're going to go through. And on your way up to hitting the top rank of the company, that's a whole thing to itself. But once you get there, staying there, managing that, having people leave, different types of competition, oh my gosh, and then trying to go beyond that and then getting many, many other people on your team to that level, There is a lot to network marketing. And if someone has not done it to the highest level, someone who is on that page is going to know in a heartbeat. So again, whatever field you want to be in, get the information. Learn the how-tos. Now, I know a lot of you are like, yeah, but how? It's not exciting to teach how-to information. It's not inspiring. The crowd is not going to burst into applause because you had them role play on how to invite properly. But let me tell you something. You want to have a huge team? You want to have a lot of customers? You better make sure everyone on your team knows how to invite. Because if they don't know how to invite, you've got no chance. So again, let me break it down. There's 4 areas that you want to become great at if you want to be a great public speaker. Number 1, teaching how-to information. And I could literally spend an entire weekend just teaching you how to do how-to information. Most people make a mess out of that. They try to shove 4 pounds of bologna into a 2-pound bag. You just keep cramming the information down people's throats, and while they get it and they write a lot of notes, at the end they don't remember any of it because you didn't teach it in the proper manner. So teaching how-to information. Here's the other thing. There's a simple metaphor that I do in the beginning of this course that's so powerful, and it's so true. It's not just if you know how to do it, you have to teach it and think that the person who's doing it has never done it before. So for those of us who know how to do something, think of something you do all the time, maybe cooking. You do it unconsciously, you do it all the time, you know how to do it, you don't even think about it. Well, a brand new person who doesn't know how to boil water, you're going to lose them very quickly if you are not teaching to their level. Imagine you went to college to get your education, your degree in elementary education. Now you go back to first grade. What are you going to talk to a first grader on a collegiate level? You have to talk to a first grader on a first grade level. So I love that. Teaching how-to information, number 1. Number 2, inspiring and motivating people. And I know everyone wants to go right to that first. Forget about that. That's a distant second compared to number 1. Teaching people how to do whatever it is you need to do and being engaging while you do it is really important. Number 2, then you learn how to motivate and inspire people. But as Zig Ziglar said, motivation doesn't last. So therefore, it's great to get people motivated, but if they don't have a foundation of how to do it, then the motivation is totally irrelevant. So, how to and motivation. Third thing is moving people emotionally. That's really important because people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And you're never going to build a big loyal following unless you're willing to be vulnerable and expose yourself. And believe me, there is a right way to do that, and there are about 147 wrong ways to do it. And last but not least, especially in this day and age, you got to be able to sell from the front of the room. You have to move people to action. So those are 4 areas. Now, again, we're running out of time. I cover all 4 of those areas in my Speaking Mastery course. And guys, I'm just telling you, it's worth every penny. $3,000. Do you want to be really good at what you're doing? And I know it's a lot of money. I get it. It's a lot of money. But compared to what? You would spend, people right now, my daughter going to college, it'll cost over $100,000 for a college education. And she'll graduate with a degree and no job. No guarantee of anything. So, but she wants to be great and she wants to have a great career. So you look at the amount of money it costs and go, okay, well, I guess it's worth it. $3,000 compared to that is a joke. So everything is relative. Here's the crazy thing. If you go to my new site, MARC ACCETTA Seminars, if you can't spell my name, World Success Coach, go there and check on the Speaking Mastery course. It's not $3,000. It's $247. It's about 3 hours of me doing videos, breaking things down. I'm telling you what, if you want to be a public speaker and or if you want to have a team of people who know how to do presentations and close from the front of the room, I just told you the 4 keys, maybe the most important is selling from the front of the room. The person with the clicker makes the most money if they know how to sell from the front of the room. It terrifies me when I see people do presentations. In the end of the presentation, they don't close the room. You need to learn how to close the room. You need to learn how to do all 4 of those things. And I've been doing these lives for a couple months now, guys. I haven't pushed any of my stuff. I really haven't. If you've been on, you know that. But it's time. $247 for Speaking Mastery is an absolute steal. So I strongly recommend go get it and use it. It's valuable stuff, but if you don't use it, it's really not going to do too much for you. Now, again, if you don't want to get speaking mastery, no big deal. Go to that video on YouTube on public speaking. It'll give you more information. There's just so much, guys. You know, again, I'm not going to sit here and do 8-hour classes on Saturdays. This is designed to give you a little bit of information, to give you some exposure to me and what I do and how we do it. And I really hope this blesses people. If you're watching live, put L. If you're watching R, put replay. Please share this with as many people as you can. But for real, speaking mastery, check it out. I assure you, you'll be very pleased with the information on that. I went from being scared of doing that speech in college to talking to average crowds of over 5,000 people more than 20 times a year, groups as big as 25,000 people. People are like, Mark, do you get nervous? And I truly don't at all. Not even a little. I love it. It's what lights me up. It's so awesome. So if you want to go from being scared to being supremely confident on stage, this will be the best money you've ever spent. Otherwise, just come back again. On Monday, remember we have a Facebook group, MARC ACCETTA Seminars All Access. Join that Facebook group, and on Mondays, we go into a much deeper dive on some of this kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, since we didn't have an opportunity to go into as much detail as we want to today, on Monday, I'm going to do a second version of this with more time to give you more detailed information. But again, guys, ultimately get speaking mastery and come on Monday and go to YouTube. Guys, I didn't have a course. I didn't have anything that I could spend money on. So again, this is the day of information. Information is everywhere. If you want to be a public speaker, you've got a better chance of being good at it now than any time in history. But I'll leave you with this thought. You have more competition by a mile than you've ever had before. So something has got to make you stand out. And I have helped hundreds of people become exceptional public speakers all over the world. I've helped people who can't even speak, English isn't even their first language, become really good public speakers. This is an area, I promise you, I know what I'm doing. I would love to coach and mentor you. So get the course. If not, thanks for being here today. And definitely Monday for that public Facebook group. And then we'll be back here next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I'm going to teach you something I'm super excited about. I'll send out a video in a week to explain it in a little bit more detail. But just suffice to say, I think next Wednesday will be the most fun one of these I've done so far. It's going to be something that's very near and dear to my heart. Something that gave me the mindset shift I needed when I was new and insecure and unconfident. This training that I got made a massive difference on shifting my mindset. I know I'll be able to do that for you as well. So have a great weekend. God bless you. And go ahead and get the course and come on Monday and come on Wednesday and do whatever else you want to do. And yeah, that's all I got. Roll Tide. Have a great day. Thank you for joining. I am very, very grateful for each and every